Hi, my name's Jim Fleeting, and I'm a failed rock star. That's all right, though, because I've become a luthier, which means a luthier is someone who makes and repairs stringed instruments, and in my case, that's guitars. So there are about 3.5 million guitars made every year, which is, about 10,000 a day? So why do I need to make guitars? Well, the answer is because guitarists have a thing called GAS, which is guitar acquisition syndrome. You can never have enough guitars. So I was playing some really nice guitars, but there was always just something not quite right. It wasn't right there. I was so fussy. And, maybe the neck felt right, but the sound wasn't right. There was always just a little something. And I thought, well, I guess I'm just going to have to make one myself. I learned to play guitar. I can learn how to do anything, right? And with that thought, that's it. I mean, that's all we need to know. That's absolutely right. But it's one thing to say it flippantly, but to deep down believe it is a completely different question. I bought a book on how to make guitars and opened it up, and the first page was a list of the tool requirements. And there were things like spoke shaves and draw knives and reciprocating spindle sanders, and I'd hardly heard of any of these things, and it all just ended up getting a bit intimidating. So I did the usual thing: you put the book down, you forget all about it. Now, several months later, I was on a cycling tour of the Basque Country, funnily enough, and we were cycling up a mountain, and just out of nowhere, by the side of the road, there was a football pitch. And it wasn't actually this football pitch. I couldn't find a picture of the one, but it has that sort of effect. It was a bit more rustic than that, but it was immaculately mowed, and it had the fresh white lines on it. And someone had obviously gone to some considerable effort, because we were miles away from the nearest village. And the amount of effort that had gone in was to set this football pitch up. I was really impressive. And we took a rest, and we sat down in the centre circle, and we started talking about the things that we'd like to do that had seemingly insurmountable barriers. Barriers which now felt trivial compared to the amount of effort that these guys had gone into just for a kick around. And mine was making guitars. So my pal said to me, look, there's probably an evening course you can enroll on. So I did that very thing. On the first day of my evening course, our first job was to join two pieces of mahogany together. So we needed to create a nice flat surface to get a nice glue joint. So I got this rough piece of timber, and I put it in a vise, and I clamped it up. And I took my plane, and I held it up to, it's all saw marks, and ran it across, and I got one of those lovely curly shavings. And where there had been this just lump of timber was now suddenly this beautiful piece of mahogany, lovely flat, pink, shiny surface. It was extraordinary. And I just felt an enormous sense of achievement. I guess I just didn't think, even when I put the plane up to the work, I guess I still didn't really believe that I could do this. So when it worked, a great sense of achievement. And I kind of felt like I'd achieved more with that one stroke of a plane than I ever had done during any day at work. And on my train home after that course, on that first day, it was so obvious to me that it couldn't be a hobby, that I was just going to have to do it for the rest of my life. Yeah, it was just a lovely thing to experience, that epiphany. And I was conscious, I don't want to belittle people whose day-to-day jobs and say that mine is somehow better. I knew what I did was important, but it just didn't, what I did during the day, the successes weren't very tangible. And there's so many people, several thousands of people working for the organisation that I did, so the successes were somewhat diluted. But I made this guitar on my own. And the first time I played the guitar was just an extraordinary experience. This is my first guitar, and it looks like a real guitar, right? Society discourages us from crafts from an early age, and to be thought of as being good with your hands to be considered not very bright. We're separated so early into those who would perform manual tasks and those destined for more intellectual pursuits, as if somehow the two are mutually exclusive. And girls are taught that trades aren't for them at all, and then as they get older, the more traditionally feminine crafts are considered twee and mumsy, and men are bombarded with the stereotype of useless Simon. There's useless Simon, who's sitting on the couch all day watching Sky Sports in your pants. But the truth is that we all have within us the ability to learn the skills to create anything. And I had no woodworking skills whatsoever before I started this. 28 years old, no woodworking. My school taught me the bare minimum that it could get away with, so that I could spend more time on the more intellectual pursuits. And now I make this sort of thing. 10 years after I first ran that piece of mahogany, I ran the plane over the piece of mahogany on my own proof of concept. People play my guitars all over the country, and I've gone international as well. When a call came in from Las Vegas, and it was Stevie Wonder's longtime bass player who asked me to build me a custom instrument. Well, I realized then that I was still living the rock star dream. And I was helping to make the rock star music, but in a different, but to me, probably a more fulfilling way. But if my story of middle-class IT guy who quits his job and starts to make guitars doesn't inspire you, then I'll leave you with this story. In the 40s, the Native American Lakota tribe contacted a sculptor called Kozak Ziolkowski and asked him to build a 600-foot-high statue of their hero, Crazy Horse, and carve it out of a mountain near Mount Rushmore in South Dakota to show the white man that the red man had great heroes too. But they said, we haven't got any money to do it. So, undeterred, Ziolkowski strapped his pickaxe to his back, climbed the mountain, and just got on with it. And this is where we are at the moment. So after seeing that, somehow making a guitar doesn't seem so daunting. Thank you very much.